men and women in this room who stand behind me, the men and women of the Albany Police Department, the New York State Police, the FBI, the students and teachers who helped us get here today, they looked out for one of their own. And true to form, nobody really wants to take a lot of credit for this, because they all just say, well, this is part of the job that they do. But today is a day in which we all need to understand that everybody in this room, and the men and women beyond this room, and the men and women of Albany, never let this case be forgotten. And I couldn't be more proud of the work that was done by the Albany Police Department, by members of the District Attorney's Office, by people in the State Police, by the help of the FBI, by the students and the teachers who came together, who just kept pulling on the thread to help solve this case. And that's what Albany is. And that's why this is such a special place. So the first thing I want to do is turn it over to the Albany Police Department so they can explain their investigation and answer any questions. And although she just did a masterful job in the courtroom, as she always does, I also want to turn it over to Jessica Blaine Lewis, who is the lead prosecutor on this case, and as I know everybody saw today, just one of the best courtroom attorneys I've ever had the pleasure of working with. So, first, the Albany Police Department.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for coming. This case, as Judge McDonough highlighted, was very challenging for a number of years and for a large number of officers and detectives. There are detectives who have since retired who were on scene when baby Moses was first discovered, who have thought about this case every day and were able to see it to its conclusion today. When this case came about, I was in grade school, so I am just a very small piece of the puzzle. We had partnerships with the College of St. Rose. We had partnerships with Dr. Christina Lane, who was at the Sage College. We had partnerships with the FBI, with the state police, and everybody played an integral role in finding the solution that we found today. Getting to point A to point B was not easy on this case. We were able to embrace new technologies and innovative solutions that got us here, and that is something that I'm very proud that the Albany Police Department does. The work that the men and women of the Albany Police Department do is relentless. We have a team of dedicated officers, and I am humbled and proud to be just a piece of this puzzle. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here. And thank you for being present for the conclusion of what has been a 27-year endeavor. And I would like to echo the same sentiment that I am humbled that I get to be a part of this case. I was in high school when this case happened, and I'm not from Albany. So for me, learning about baby Moses came from my employment within this office. And I can assure you that I learned about baby Moses almost immediately. I have been in this office for over 20 years now, and throughout my time in this office, this has been a case that members of the Albany Police Department have mentioned to me, and former members who are now employed in this office mentioned to me and have worked diligently on every day. And so the fact that I was able to become a part of it is incredibly humbling, and also amazing that we were able to bring it to fruition and conclusion. I am incredibly impressed with the work and dedication that all law enforcement agencies involved in this continue to show throughout the years, never giving up on baby Moses and always believing that they were going to find who actually caused him to die. I am very, very happy that the judge saw what we saw in this case, and I do believe that the outcome in this case takes into consideration so many things that we knew would be thought of by a potential jury who would be hearing the facts and circumstances in this case as well. There is something to be said about considering a defense when we are negotiating the plea, and what, if any, effect that defense could have on an outcome, and knowing that that defense could have been presented to a jury is something that we thought about, and also knowing that this is a 27-year-old case with some witnesses who might no longer be with us is also something that we have to consider. But taking all of that into consideration, I do believe that the outcome that we saw here today is just, and I am again very grateful that I was part of it. So thank you so much.
All right, folks. See, the mayor couldn't be here today. We have Dave Gallen, who's the chief of staff representing the city of Albany. But questions for my office, for the Albany Police, for the city of Albany. Who's got questions, and what can we do to help? So,
Chief Cox, you're a veteran member of the Albany Police Department.
You just want to point out that I'm the old one that was actually on the force at the time.
Were you on the force when this happened?
Yeah, I was a 27-year-old patrol officer at the time, so I'll age myself compared to everybody else. So yeah, it was a horrific day for the police department to have that kind of discovery happen and have everybody not know what occurred. And to the point of, Jessica did an amazing job in her summation, talking to the judge about why the sentence should be what it was. There were options. Let us take in mind where that park sits. There's a hospital a block away. A block away was the hospital where baby Moses, alive, could have been and could have been taken care of. To anyone who doesn't know what to do when they're in that situation, there were options then, and there are certainly options now. So my plea would certainly be, make sure we please take those options, especially when there's a hospital where someone can be taken care of. The station that I worked at then, there was a fire department right there that could have taken care of that baby.
Could you describe, the feelings of the force at that time when the baby was found versus the feelings of, the satisfaction that the officers must have had that they finally closed this case?
It's very difficult for officers to come across any incident of violence, any incident of trauma. Whenever there's a child involved, it's even more difficult to deal with, more difficult to address. I have children that happen to be 27 years. I have a child that's 27 years old. So for myself, at the age I'm at, my child was 1 month old at the time of this incident. So for many of us, as young officers, we have children, and something happens to a child, it's traumatic. Officers carry secondary trauma themselves. So it is very difficult, just like prosecutors carry that. So it's very difficult, and officers want to have closure. It's one of the reasons why, and I certainly want to say this to other families that are out there now, seeing this and seeing the closure after 27 years in this case. These folks, they never forget about cases, about any case. While this is special because a child was involved, because a baby was involved, there's no case that we forget. We talk about cold cases. It's not the cold cases. It's the fact that any case to us is real, it's live, and we try to carry on and make sure that we bring justice to victims, that we keep those cases live, that we want closure for people. We understand there are loved ones. That is our role as police and prosecutors, to ultimately bring closure for people, to make sure that there is justice served, recognizing that. So closure is important for us in many, many ways. It's important.
To clarify, was the baby's body burned, or was it the towel that wrapped the baby, or was it both?
It was both.
Chief, during the course of the investigation and while analyzing DNA, were you able to identify the father of baby Moses? Was the father questioned? Were you able to absolutely rule out any knowledge or complicity regarding anyone besides Mizuka?
I'm going to ask the folks that were intimately involved in the case.
yeah.
Mike?
So,
Chief thought you were gonna get away without talking about it.
So yes, a father has been identified. He has been interviewed by members of law enforcement. He has been ruled out as any knowledge of this incident or that Carrie was pregnant at the time.
So she was able to keep her pregnancy apparently hidden, secret for 9 months?
That's correct.
And in working cases in the past where we've had cases where not exactly similar to this, but that's not necessarily unusual.
Guys, thanks for coming.
everybody good?
We're good.
We're good, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Job well done.
All right, folks, thanks for coming on.